when you look at the size of how big money is, it's like the ocean, and your crypto guys are standing there peeing it. Now you're pissing everybody off, which is the thing. And crypto is the future. But in the meantime, you're just peeing in the ocean. And the ocean of money is massive. Macro is huge. And it's as fake as they come. So the reason I support Bitcoin is because it's real. And the reason I don't like stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and all that is it's fake. And the dollar is fake. But, I heard that the cryptos took a dive from 60,000 down to, I'll just say, I'm just waiting to get 27. And I'm going to back up the truck again. And they go, they don't know what to say. And said, well, why would you keep investing in it? I said, because you guys are the future. But in the meantime, you're just peeing in the ocean. I mean, that's 21 million Bitcoins trying to fill up an ocean.
What is it? 90 trillion or so, I think, is kind of global money supply, somewhere in that range, 90 to 100 trillion, depending on how you count it. And
that's
how do you count $1 trillion.
Yeah, it's impossible to count. Because what happened, I'll give a quick history. This is the 50th anniversary of the fake dollar. So 1971, Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard. And that's when I became a gold bug. I said, well, at least gold is more real than the dollar. The same as I've been in silver since 64. So when I saw Bitcoin come along, I didn't understand it, and by the time I hit 20,000, I was getting excited. But being an old guy, I always know it retraces. So I just waited for it to retrace. It retraces 7. I think it go down to 3 or something. But, by the time I woke up again, it was at 7. And then I said, hit 9. I said, I better back up the truck now, because why would you chase something on the way up? You want it to come back, retrace, and then go back into it. But the reason I want to talk to you is because it's what's going on, your bigger picture. And I'm very, very bullish on Bitcoin, the whole crypto world. But in the meantime, the problem, most people are going to get screwed. As you know, Anthony, all they want to do is get rich quick.
Of course.
They don't want to study this stuff. And that's why they'll be the biggest losers around.
Look, if you look at the recent price drawdown, like you just described, right? So in 2017, we went from $1,000 to $20,000. It took about a year to draw down to 3,200. That was the bottom of this past bear market.
Oh, don't make me feel terrible.
And so from 3,200, basically between 2019, 2020, and into 2021, it then peaked again over 60,000. And then recently fell again to somewhere between 28,000 and 30,000 was kind of the most recent low. And I think, to your point, people see this high degree of volatility and it scares the hell out of them. But one of the beauties of Bitcoin being this decentralized digital open system is that you can actually go look on the blockchain and you can see exactly who's buying and who's selling, right? It's an open, transparent ledger. And so when you go and you look at those on-chain metrics or on the blockchain, what you find is that entire drop from 60 down to 30, it was all new investors, new people in the market, right? And you can tell that by how long have they been holding on to the Bitcoin that they were selling. And so when you see that all the new people are selling, it asks yourself, well, who's buying it? It's all the people who've been around for a really long time. Right? They're saying, hey, if you just got here and all of a sudden a little bit of volatility spooks you, I'll surely buy up your Bitcoin at a lower price, right? And so what you have is you just have weak hands selling to strong hands, or kind of new people selling to old people. And so the people who've been around a long time, this is nothing new to them. Well, they can't believe it crashed to $30,000. The fact Bitcoin crashes to 30,000 is music to their ears.
Well, that's why I'm a little upset, because it didn't hit my strike price at 27. I was just sitting there waiting. I said, come on, go lower. And all the guys who are hoping it goes higher are bailing out, I thought it was pretty funny, personally.
Of course.
It's called a market. Things go up and things come down. I mean, that's a market. Bulls and bears, right? That's all it is.
Yeah. And I think the other thing about Bitcoin that people should know is I always say that it's the last remaining truly free market, right? And so what I mean by that is you've done a great job over the years explaining to people kind of how manipulated the dollar is, how manipulated the stock market is, etc. But it's not just the macro manipulation, right? It's not just interest rates. It's not just quantitative easing. There's also things that are built into, say, the stock market, where if the stock market goes down 7-8% in a single day, they literally call timeout and say, hey, whoa, 15-minute circuit breaker. If it goes down again, 11-12%, hey, circuit breaker again. And then if it goes down 20% in a single day, they literally shut off the market and they all go home for the day.
Yeah, I want everybody
that happens all the time in Bitcoin.
I want everybody to listen to what Anthony is saying here, because this is a very big difference between the stock market, real estate market, and Bitcoin. Because when I was a kid, nobody was in the stock market. So between like 61 to 81, the old guys like me, the baby boomers, they wouldn't go in the stock market because they were in the bond market. The bonds were safer. So what they do, they create this thing called a 401k and the IRA to kind of force the baby boomers into the stock market. And who controls the stock market? Well, the central banks, the Treasury, and Wall Street. And so all these baby boomers have been set up. I know that because that's what I study. So as you know and I know, they're going to pull the rug out from under them. And there's going to be the biggest, baby boomers have been the luckiest generation in history. I mean, they do jack and they got rich. They put money in the stock market, they got rich. Then what happened is 87, the stock market crashes. And what Anthony's talking about here is because Greenspan came in and says, we can't let the baby boomers get out because then we all get poor. So the idiot baby boomers stayed in and was called the Greenspan put, or the PPP, the plunge protection team. What Anthony is saying there, they prop the stock market up to keep the baby boomers in. And that's the difference between Bitcoin. There's nobody holding it up. Now, that's good or bad, but to me, it's good because you've got to be smarter. And all you losers out there who just want to get rich quick, you're going to get pounded. Stay in the stock market. Stay with that 401k. And then you get pounded when it all comes down. They can't stop it.
Look, one of the most fascinating things to me is, take a Warren Buffett, which I think a lot of people, especially baby boomer generation and on down, really respect somebody like a Warren Buffett, right? He's built an immense amount of personal wealth. He's got these very charismatic kind of letters that he writes that people are really attracted to. When he does interviews, right, he's very likable as an individual, and also shares awesome, timeless financial advice. And so when people see somebody like him and they ask him, what do you think about Bitcoin? Everything from it's rat poison to it's like harvesting dead baby brains and what other kind of ridiculous thing he says. But actually what you find is if you can separate kind of his personal beliefs on Bitcoin from the timeless financial principles that he's preached now for decades, what you find is the people in Bitcoin who follow those same timeless principles, dollar cost averaging, long-term holding and not trying to day trade or sell, right? Trying to find something that has a macro tailwind or an industry type bet to it. All of those principles apply here. Hey, and actually the people who are doing the best are benefiting.
As Buffett says, buy low.
Buy low is really good advice.
Buy low and hang on forever. He says, when do you sell? He never sells. I own Bitcoin. I'm never selling. I own real estate. I never sell. I own businesses. I never sell, because if you sell, you have a tax consequence.
Of
Do you know what I mean?
course.
That's macro financial education. So, and so the people that got hammered are exactly as you said. They were the FOMO, fear of missing out. They jump in, thing goes up, and we get rich.
Yeah. And here's the crazy part, right? Is that if you have short-term kind of thought process, if you're trying to optimize for quote unquote getting rich quick, if you aren't intelligent about risk management, all that stuff, then you become a panic seller when the price drops. And that's exactly what we just saw, right? Was people who were using leverage, they were trying to get rich quick, whatever. When price drops aggressively, they become the panic sellers. And the difference between this market and the traditional stock market is there's no circuit breakers. There is no hours of operations. There's no Friday. Yeah, there's no Friday at 4 p.m. Everyone goes home and we'll come back to play the game on Monday, right? It's 24/7, 365. There's no plunge protection team, right? That's going to step in and buy, kind of the market. And so what you get is you get high degrees of volatility. But I always joke, the people who are yelling and screaming about the volatility, right? Usually the anti-Bitcoin crowd, they never seem to bring up the volatility on days like today when Bitcoin's up 16% in the last 24 hours.
That's
they only bring up
that's bad news.
They only bring up volatility when the price goes down, right? But we have to remember volatility works both ways. It works on the way up and it works on the way down. Volatility is only bad when it goes against you. So if you're short and the price goes up, that's bad news. If you're long and the price goes down, that's bad news. But I think that ultimately what we're seeing is that Bitcoiners, especially the ones who have really spent the time learning about this, they want the price to go down, right? So they can buy more of it.